Video is on diode curve tracing. The objective of this is to plot in an XY plot on a scope the current flow across a diode versus the voltage, or the current flow through a diode versus the voltage across a diode. And that's what we're showing on the screen here. We're using waveform software by Digilent along with the Digilent Electronics Explorer board to do a simple experiment, which we'll talk about. So this is the setup. It's very simple. We have in this case, we have a diode on the Electronic Explorer board. We have an arbitrary wave generator with feeding in a triangle wave with plus or minus 10 volts peak to peak. The output of the wave generator goes through a 100 ohm resistor into the diode and off to ground. We're measuring the voltage on either side of that resistor with channel 1 and channel 2, the DC inputs on the Electronic Explorer board. We then apply Ohm's law in a math channel in waveform software to calculate that current flow. And then we plot the results, current flow versus voltage across the diode, and we end up with this XY plot that you see on the screen. So let's see, looking at the actual setup, it's very simple here on the board itself. Wave generator channel 1 going into scope channel 1 on the DC input. That same wave generation or signal is going into that 100 ohm resistor off to the anode of the diode, and then the circuit is completed by coming back here off to ground. Channel 2 of the scope measures the other side of that 100 ohm resistor. That's the complete setup, very simple. And looking at the wave generator setup in the waveform software, you can see we have this triangular wave. It's 400 hertz, 10 volt amplitude, no offset, phase of 270 degrees. And if we run this, not much to look at. It's not a very dynamic test, but you can see the reverse bias flow through the Zener diode here at 5 and some small fraction of 5 volts, 5 point something volts. It's a 5.1 volt Zener diode, and then a 7/10 of a volt or thereabouts. We get the forward flow. That's in milliamps. On the scope, we have in yellow the signal out of the wave generator. In blue, we have the anode voltage, which is basically the voltage across the diode itself. And then the red is the math channel, which is doing that mathematical calculation to get the current flow. So you can see on the scope what's happening there as the triangular wave is fed in, and how the voltage varies across the diode and how the current flow varies across the diode. So that's it. That's the complete experiment. Thank you for watching.